Adam, it's me, JJ from Cocomelon. I know you love the song Wheels on the Bus, so I want to sing it for you. Happy Hanukkah!
A little less than a month ago, my mother-in-law sent my husband Jeff and I an article about a family who barely survived October 7th, hiding in their kibbutz in Israel with their 2 baby boys. She sent it to us because the parents of these boys, Dorin and Itamar Cohen, kept their 2-year-old son Adam quiet during many of those impossible hours by letting him listen to his favorite character, JJ from Cocomelon, sing him some songs. And that voice of JJ is my son, Cody. I sent Cody a text message immediately with an excerpt from the article, and I told him, "Don't ever think what you do doesn't make a difference." Cody wanted to send Adam a message as JJ, which you all just heard a part of a few moments ago, but we needed to get in touch with the family. We quickly contacted the author who connected us to Dorin. Adam was, of course, happy to hear JJ talking to him, but what we really wanted to do was help this family that had lost everything, a family that we felt we had gotten connected to for a reason. We spoke to them over video chat and asked what we could do. Could we send them money, clothes, furniture? What did they need? It felt like what they really needed was a break and a fresh start. So we said, come to us. Stay with us for a bit. Catch your breath and let us take care of you. Pretend we're your cousins in New Jersey. A few days later, flights were booked, and on Wednesday morning of this past week, 4 virtual strangers who felt like family walked into my kitchen, and I know all of our lives will never be the same. I would like to introduce the beautiful, strong, and excellent English-speaking mother of this family to you all so you can hear her story. Dorin.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank the dear Braverman family, who from the moment heard our story did everything they could to help us. We're here thanks to their big hearts. Thank you. I'm going to tell you a story about heaven, a heaven that turned dark one day. I am Dorin Cohen, and I'm here with my family from Kibbutz K'far Aza in southern Israel. My husband Itamar and I met when I was in kindergarten in Ashkelon. Yeah, that's us. He moved to Kfar Aza when he was in 1st grade and lived in this paradise until October 7. There was never even a thought that we would, after we got married, that we would raise our children anywhere else, until now. We have 2 boys, 3 years old Adam and 7 months old Jonathan. Kfar Aza is a small and beautiful kibbutz, full of green spaces, chirping birds, and spectacular sunsets. Itamar used to run around the border of the kibbutz, which would have cost him his life if he had been out that terrible morning. You can see the border behind us. From a very young age, the children roam freely around the kibbutz. We always felt a strong sense of security, even though from time to time there were Tzeva Adom sirens as rockets were launched toward us. But we were used to it and knew how to act accordingly. That was part of life in southern Israel. On Saturday, October 7, the morning of Simchat Torah, we were going to celebrate by holding our kite parade, also known as Afifoniada. Each year, we flew kites, symbolizing peace near to the border so our neighbors could watch. Ironic. But instead, at 6:30 a.m., sirens went off. We ran to the bomb shelter in our home, which was also Adam's bedroom, and sealed the door and the window. The children were still asleep. Suddenly, at 7 a.m., came the moment that changed our lives forever. From the bomb shelter window, we heard shouting in Arabic and gunshots. And that's when we realized that the terrorists had invaded our kibbutz. This was not part of life in Israel, at least not part of life in Israel we knew. Later, we understood that the gunshot we'd heard had been fired from the terrorists who murdered our neighbors. We had heard the scream. We knew that what happened. Our neighbors who survived are the 10-month-old twins orphans that many of you may have heard about. Itamar grew up with Hadar, their mother. The familiar scream we heard, her last sound. The baby are only here today because Hamas put bombs in their home, hoping that the Israeli soldier would hear them crying and walk in and be killed. Booty traps. They survived because the Hamas booty trap failed. It was horrible. Fear permeated every bone of our bodies. I called the police and begged for help. Itamar ran into our bedroom and grabbed his handgun. The bomb shelter door didn't have a lock, so we moved Adam's bookcase to block the door. And then we waited. You don't know me, but I'm not much a religious person before this day. But in Adam's bedroom, in our bomb shelter, I opened Book of Psalm that's sitting on his bookshelf. I literally opened it in the middle of the book. Psalm 18 were the words before me. And the story was of King David hiding in a cage from King Shaul. And it was dark, and he heard bombs outside, and he was describing the fire he saw. In print it said, "Blessed be God who rescued me from my enemies and saved me from Hamas." I did not look for this passage. I had not even read these words before, but they found me. And I'm here because God did save me. During this time, the kibbutz WhatsApp group were reporting that the terrorists were in their homes everywhere, and nobody was coming to help. We were hearing about the murder of Ophir Liebstein, the head of our regional council. He was charged of 11 kibbutzim in our area. Aviv Baram, one of our first responders, Yuval Salomon, Itamar's best friend. Sorry. He turned 29 on October 6th. He lived in an area in the kibbutz that was for people ages 18 to 30. The entire area was killed or taken hostage. Wait. No. At 10 a.m., there was electricity outage. We were left in total darkness and with very little reception. Time passed, and it became difficult to keep the children quiet and stop them from crying. I told Adam there was a dangerous storm outside. What do you say to a 3-year-old? Slowly, the batteries in our phone were running out. But worse than that, the oxygen in the shelter was running out. In a situation where you already felt like you could not breathe, we could barely breathe. At 2 p.m., a small force of soldiers entered the kibbutz for the first time. We were sure that they would rescue us soon. They had to. How could this be lasting so long? My parents felt helpless. They were 10 minutes away, but a ward apart. I emptied a drawer in Adam's bed that held his sheets and sent to my dad the picture. This is where Jonathan will be. My plan was that I would just put him in the drawer if something would happen to us. My dad could not reach us. So he got his car with his pistol. He thought he could save us, but the army turned him back. Itamar's parents were stuck in their house only a 5 minutes walk from us. The windows in their home were blown out as they hid in their own bomb shelter, but they remained safe. After his parents were rescued by the army, the terrorists blew up their house, leaving the Shabbat Chala. Night came quickly that day. You may think time would move slowly in this situation, but it didn't. But by 8 p.m., we could no longer breathe. No water, no food, no light, no oxygen. Just praying for our lives, for the lives of my babies. We decided to open the door of the bomb shelter to ventilate it a bit. Itamar crawled into the kitchen and brought some water and food. At 12 a.m., the terrorists invaded our house. They exploded a bomb in our home, right outside of the shelter. The bookcase held against the door exploded into pieces and flew over Adam sleeping in his bed. Itamar, who was holding the door, was swept off his feet from the explosion, and his hand was injured. The terrorists shot every direction with the machine guns and set fire to the house. I was able to send a last message to my parents, telling them that the terrorists were in our house and the phone shut off. And we no longer had contact with anyone. Smoke seeped into the bomb shelter. I held the children to keep them from crying, so the terrorists would not hear us. Our apartment was two that had been put together, so we had two bomb shelters. This is also what saved us. We think the terrorists did not realize we were still there. Itamar held the door handle, which had caught fire, to prevent them from entering. For several hours, we heard loud explosions and gunfire. We prayed. I just stared at the door handle and assumed when the terrorists entered, Itamar would die, killing some of them, and then I would pick up the gun and fight to save my children. The sun came up, and we could see the light through the bullet hole in the door. It became quiet, quieter than it had been. We heard the terrorists ran into our house to hide from the Israeli army. It was also at this time where I had nothing else to feed Jonathan. I had been nursing him, but I had nothing in me. I was dehydrated and stressed, and my milk was gone. I thought he was going to die. I heard the jeep passing our house. I wanted to open the window and call for help. Itamar didn't want me to. He was afraid it wasn't safe, that we would be showing ourselves to the terrorists. But I heard Hebrew, and my baby needed help. I opened the window slowly and just stuck my hand through and waved and whistled. The soldier thought everyone in our house were dead, so they started shooting at us. Maybe Itamar was right. A few hours later, at 10 a.m., at 11 a.m., after 28 hours in the bomb shelter, I heard another military jeep passing by our house. I told Itamar I was going to open the window and call for help. And I knew I had no choice. Jonathan was going to die soon if we didn't get him out. They thought they saw ghosts. Total shock. But they rescued us through the window of the bomb shelter. When we got outside, we saw our house in flames. The roof was destroyed, the walls gone, everything gone, but not us. We were still standing there. As it turned out, the explosion we had heard at night were missiles that the army had fired at the terrorists in our house. They believed that we were dead. All the neighbors who came out at night and saw our house looking like a huge bonfire was already mourning us. As we drove away in the jeep, we saw our paradise in flames. The beautiful green spaces, now black. A dead body to my right, to my left, all around us. The smell of death is in the air. We arrived to the gas station where all the survivors from the kibbutz were taken. It was like we were back from the dead. From there, we were evacuated to Kibbutz Shfaim. All the survivors from our kibbutz are there and will probably be there for a long time to come. 68 dead, 18 hostages. 11 have been returned. 2 were killed. 5 are still being held hostage. One of those is my dear friend Dorin.
תפסו אותי,
The last I heard from her was a voice message on October 7, where she said, "They cut me, they cut me." In the background, the terrorists are screaming Allahu Akbar. On October 7, I made a deal with God. I believe He saved us. I told Him that I would keep Shabbat, keep kosher, keep all the Jewish holidays. And I was not a religious person, not before this. But now, I will tell you, I believe God is the reason that I am here today. I will walk home when I leave here tonight. And I'm keeping kosher and trying to show God my thanks because we made a deal. Dealing with this kind of horror and tragedy has been a struggle for all of us. Even telling my story, I feel like I'm talking about someone else. Our lives are forever changed. My baby cries when it's dark and shrieks when he is hungry, different than he was. Itamar and I started smoking again after not smoking for years. Adam talked to his friends about how his house was destroyed, and he's always hiding from the bad people. I do not know what our future holds right now. I do not want to go back to Kfar Aza, our forever home. We came here to the state because maybe this will be our home. I don't know. I want a place we can make new roots, new memories. A place that is ours, not borrowed, not destroyed, safe. For today, I'm grateful to be alive, to be here with all of you. October 7 took many people away from us that we love. People that murdered, burned, raped, abused, and kidnapped. If you pray, please pray for the hostages that remain in Gaza to return home. I pray for my best friend Dorin and for the other 132 hostages to come home immediately. We lived in fear for 28 hours, and the hostages are going on 90 days. We need to do more than just say to bring them home. We need to actually bring them home. Every minute counts. And if you do not pray, maybe think about it, because I do think God can hear you. Shabbat Shalom.